In section 6.2, we are learning to convert from fraction notation to percent notation, and vice versa from percent notation to fraction notation. The way we do that is to convert from fraction notation to percent notation. It's really quite simple. We find the decimal notation by dividing the denominator into the numerator. In other words, 3/5 is fraction notation. We divide 5 into 3, which is 0.6. In other words, 0.6 is the decimal notation. Or we simply move the decimal 2 places to the right and attach the percent symbol. In other words, 3/5 is equal to 60%. For the next few exercises, we are encouraged to use a calculator to find percent notation. And so here we are rounding to the nearest hundredths of a percent. And I'm just going to show it on camera for a couple of them. So when we look at number 1, 13 divided by 25. So we simply enter 13. We divide by 25. And the answer is 0.52. So that's equal to 0.52. And we do all the other exercises the same way. We simply divide 5 by 13. And when we round it up to 3 to the nearest hundredths, that is equal to 38.46%. And 43 divided by 39 is 110.26%. Number 4, 12/7, or 12 divided by 7, is 171.43%. And I would encourage you to use a calculator to verify these numbers that I'm writing down that I compute on my calculator. And then number 5, 217 divided by 364 is 59.62%. 59.62%. And number 6, 2,378 divided by 8,401 is equal to 28.31%. And I want to draw your attention to the last exercise. These numbers are, for most people, difficult to imagine. And so by using percent, it makes it easier to relate to that. 28%, that's close to 25%, about one fourth. So percentages are a little easier to interpret for most people with a little bit of practice. But especially when the numbers get very big, it is difficult to understand what that really means. So percentages are very easy to understand. When we divide 5 by 6, we get the decimal notation 0.833, and it's repeating 3. And then in percent notation, we move the decimal 2 places to the right. So we have 83.3, and that would be a repeating decimal. So 83.3% with a bar over the 3. 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. We move the decimal 2 places to the right, and that will give us 25%. Water is the single most abundant chemical in the human body. The body is about 2/3 water. Find percent notation for 2/3. When we divide 2 by 3, we get 0.666. It's a repeating decimal. So moving the decimal 2 places to the right, it is 66.6%. Or 66 2/3%. Which reminds me, we can write this as 83 1/3%. When we divide 5 by 8, the decimal is 0.625. We move the decimal 2 places to the right. Then we have 62.5%. 62.5%. And that's the same as 62 1/2%. And 57 divided by 100, well, that's exactly the definition. Well, that's equal to 0.57. Moving the decimal 2 places to the right, that gives us 57%. In number 6, we're learning another method of writing a fraction as a percent. And that is by multiplying the numerator and denominator in such a way that we wind up with a 100 in the denominator. So obviously we need to multiply 25 by 4, numerator and denominator. So we have 4 times 19 is 76, and 4 times 25 is 100, and 76 divided by the 100, of course, is 76%. In a similar way, we can do number 7. We have 7/10. That's the same as 7/10 times 10 divided by 10, which is equal to 7 times 10 is 70, divided by 100, and that's equal to 70%. So here the answer is 70%. And for number 8, we can do something similar. 1/4. We multiply numerator and denominator by 25. Then we have 1 times 25 is 25, divided by 4 times 25 is 100, and 25 divided by 100 is 25%. So here the answer is 25%. Next, we're going to learn how to convert from percent notation to fraction notation. It's quite simple. To convert from percent notation to fraction notation, like 30%, we use the definition of percent as a ratio, like 30% means 30 divided by 100, and then simplify if possible. So here we factor a 10 in the numerator and a 10 in the denominator, so we have 3/10 as a fact in the fraction notation. So 30% equals 3/10. So let's apply this method to this example here, 3.25%. Again, by definition, 3.25% means 3.25 divided by 100. To get rid of the decimal in the numerator, we multiply by 100. And that, of course, means we need to multiply the denominator by 100. Then 100 times 3.25 is 325, and 100 times 100 is 10,000. Now we can factor 325 into 13 times 25, and we can factor 10,000 into 400 times 25, which means we have 13 divided by 400 times 25 divided by 25, which is equal to 1. So then the final answer is 13 divided by 400. So again, you may want to follow these steps on your own. Maybe just grab a piece of paper and a pencil and do it on your own so you understand the steps we're taking here. So 60% we can write as 60 divided by 100 by definition, and we can write it as 6 times 10 divided by 10 times 10, or 6 divided by 10 times 10 divided by 10, which is equal to 6 divided by 10. But 6 divided by 10 we can write as 3 times 2 divided by 5 times 2. And just as 10 divided by 10 is 1, we can write this now as 3/5. It's 2 divided by 2, which is equal to 1, so then the final answer is 3/5. So 60% is the same as 3/5. For the next exercise, 66 2/3%, 66 2/3, we can convert into a fraction, 200 thirds percent. And since percent means 1 divided by 100, we write this as 200 divided by 3 times 1 divided by 100. That's equal to percent. So then we have 200 divided by 300, which we can write as 2 divided by 3 times 100 divided by 100, which of course is equal to 1. So then the final answer is 2/3. So 66 2/3 is the same as percent is equal to 2/3. So 12.5%, 2 times 12 is 24 plus 1 is 25 divided by 2, 25 divided by 2%. And percent is equal to 1 times, we can write 1 times 1 divided by 100, so 25 divided by 2 times 1 divided by 100, and 1 times 25 is 25, and 2 times 100 is 200. So we can rewrite 25 as 1 times 25, and 200 we can write as 8 times 25. Of course, 25 divided by 25 is 1. Therefore, the final answer is 1/8, or 1 divided by 8. So 12.5% is the same as 1/8. This expression we can write as 33 1/3%, which is equal to 3 times 33 is 99 plus 1 is 100 divided by 3%. And percent means 1 divided by 100. So this is then equal to 100 divided by 3 times 1 divided by 100. Therefore, we have 1 times 100 is 100, divided by 3 times 100 is 300, or 1 times 100 divided by 3 times 100, which is equal to 1 divided by 3 times 100 divided by 100, which is equal to 1. So then the final answer is 1/3. So this expression is equivalent to 1/3. You can write this as 83 and 1/3%, which is 3 times 83 is 249 plus 1 is equal to 250 divided by 3%. Again, percent means 1 divided by 100, so we have 250 divided by 3 times 1 divided by 100, and then that's equal to 250 in the numerator. 1 times 250 is 250, and 3 times 100 is 300. Which is equal to 5 times 50 divided by 6 times 50. So we have 5/6 times 50 divided by 50, which is equal to 1. So the final answer is 5/6. So 83.3 with a bar percent is equal to 5/6. Again, I would encourage you to do additional exercises. If this went by a little bit too fast, at least I would recommend you redo these exercises that I did, because this gives you guidance how to arrive at the correct answer. But I would certainly recommend to do additional exercises just for practice sake. And this is the end of section 6.2.